Hi guys, I'm coming to you. It's kind of late tonight, but I am just finished up the next little nugget, I guess, that God has given me to talk to you guys about. So I actually typed it up this time. Maybe there will be a lot less ums in this video. I'm going to go ahead and get started. On my last video, I meant to say that families should use this time of reset to be in the Word and in prayer with their children, which actually helps me segue into today's topic. I'm seeing that those that are staying home with their children are finding unique, creative ways to teach and fill the time children would normally be in school, but some are incorporating yoga into their daily activities. I'd like to preface this discussion by saying that I'm not highly knowledgeable about the subject. In the past, I didn't think believers should do yoga and had read articles in which people argued whether or not it was okay for Christians to do yoga. I just know that God quickened my spirit about discussing this, and I try to convey the information He brings to my attention in a non-exhaustive manner. I don't wake up with an agenda. As I believe He wants me to discuss something, I look into it and discuss what I think He would have me say. Again, we all have our own opinions, so you're free to listen or not, agree or disagree. I do hope that you will continue to love me as I do you, regardless of whether we agree on the topic at hand. As I said in my first video, I ask God to use me to teach truth, and this is how I believe He has shown me to do it. I just ask that rather than get offended or angry, you listen and ask God how it pertains to you, if at all, and how and if He would have you make any changes. Okay, so when I hear people say namaste, I usually assume they are doing it as a sign of respect or a nice way to symbolically say they care for another individual or perhaps to bless them. I've watched several videos in which actual Indians, those coming from India, explain that most people that use the term don't even realize what it means. Like many of us that hear a term and don't do our research, but naively accept the use of it. Nama means to bow, as means I, and te, you. So literally, bow me, you, or I bow to you. It's stating that I bow to the divine in you, or the divine in me bows to the divine in you. That is, my soul honors your soul, or I honor the place in you where the entire universe resides, and in sharing this, we are one. The word yog, Y-O-G, is power and unity. To yoke and recognizes the belief in ourselves and the power of our mind rather than putting our trust solely in the Father and realizing that we can only do things through Him. Matthew 11:28 states, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Verse 30 says that my yoke is easy. 2 Corinthians 6:14 states, "Do not be unequally yoked." Yoking ourselves to someone or something besides Christ is dangerous. Because I'm specifically discussing allowing our children to do yoga, because we as adults make our own choices based upon our own beliefs, as opposed to our children doing things they think are okay because mom and dad let us do it. I'm going to discuss Moana, in which the description says from the beginning that Moana tries to break a century-long curse during this conversation solely because I had mentioned it in the last video. If you recall, Maui, the demigod, takes credit for all the things our Creator did. If you like, you can follow along with my discussion by searching Cosmic Kids on YouTube and selecting Moana, a Cosmic Kids Yoga Adventure. So if you want to go back after this and look that up and follow along, you'll just understand it better. So the hostess instructor of Cosmic Kids, Jamie, starts off by saying, "You can copy me." So rather than blindly letting our children copy someone, make sure to be present to see what exactly they are copying. She always begins with sitting in Sukhasana, easy pose. The definition states that when you practice this with clear intention, It has the power to draw you deep inside, leading you to a meditative state. These poses are to help you experience clearer perception and a greater connection with your true self. She then says, let's say our secret yoga code word, Namaste. She begins the adventure with, let's go back in time to a legend of a goddess. So not to nitpick, but that's time travel. It is a legend, which is a traditional story popularly regarded as historical, but unauthenticated. Exodus 23 says, you shall have no other gods before me. She immediately goes to goddess pose. I found an article. It's called What's the Matter with Yoga.wordpress.com. It had some really good information that I'm going to use in this discussion. Yoga is a spiritual body language from India. It is a moving liturgy. It was developed as a spiritual practice to unite with the Hindu divine and as a religious rite to worship the Hindu divine. Many of its poses and sequences of poses are inspired mythology. Its active poses are devotion in motion, the embodied veneration of figures from sacred Hindu literature. Its passive poses are physical philosophy, the bodily expression of non-dual oneness philosophy. Active poses represent certain Hindu gods, creature beings, and sages, after which the poses are named and patterned and to which they have been dedicated. The practice of such poses is a type of role-playing of another spirit being, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Passive meditation poses represent the Hindu supreme reality or Brahman, which is cosmic, there's that word again, consciousness. The practice of such poses identifies the person with the Hindu supreme. Yoga poses send messages to the spirit world, attracting spirits of Hinduism. These are not my words, and I don't try to relay them in a sarcastic manner. My hope is that you will actively listen to the words, what they mean, rather than just passively listening as I'm reading that kind of thing. So this goddess breathes life into the oceans and islands. Jamie, the hostess, says, breathe in and out. We send life to the oceans and give life to the islands. The goddess has a green heart stone. So chakras in yoga, the fourth chakra is green in color from above pose. Represents health, prosperity, and abundance. There's a mantra for each chakra. She goes into another pose saying, this is where she, the goddess Tafiti, gets all her life-giving power from. Chakras are featured in both Hinduism and Buddhism. So my point there is that the creators of these things, Disney movies or these types of things for kids, they all incorporate these things that seem innocent enough and are innocuous to deceptively mislead us and make us think that these things are okay. They're very clever. Next, Maui, the demigod, steals the stone using the magical fish hook and does another pose and turns himself into a hawk, so he's a shapeshifter. She does another pose, the flying pose. Now he gets attacked by a lava demon, and then she does another pose. Now 1,000 years later, Moana arrives. Jamie, the hostess, does another pose. Moana spots the heart stone. The stone has chosen her. Her father doesn't like how much the water calls to her. Now she is 16. Jamie does another pose and another pose, which is the fish pose, which is actually the bridge pose, and she's calling it a fish pose. She now goes against her father's wishes, putting herself in danger. She does another pose and another and another and another. So she does a lot of these yoga poses during this adventure. Next, Moana's grandmother comes and wants to help her find her identity, her destiny. So she takes her to a secret cave. The host does another pose and another and another. So you can take this next little bit of information with a grain of salt, but Jamie, being Moana at this point, looks through her cosmonoculars. So if you've done any research on Illuminati symbolism, and I know just saying that people are probably laughing. The way she specifically forms her fingers is the 666 sign, and that actually did jump out at me. I was like, really? That was pretty blatant, not even subtle in the least. She says, I must make the islands well again. At this point, the grandmother is ill, so you do the corpse pose now. And she has the heart stone. She gives it to Moana and says, go, the ocean chose you. You must go and find Maui and return the heart to Te Fiti, the goddess. And then the grandma takes her last breath. This pose takes your practice to a place where you can completely let go. A regular practice of this pose will train you in the art of relaxation, an essential quality for meditation and a true experience of yoga. As you release your physical body, get that, release your physical body, you may even discover another part of yourself that is light and free. A deeper part of yourself waits for those moments when you are completely relaxed to reveal its truth. A feeling of connection, clarity, all-knowingness, love, or joy may arise from this state of ease and relaxation, a taste of what meditation offers. There's another pose as Moana sets sail, and another. Following along behind her is the spirit of her grandmother embodied as a manta ray. So there's ancestor worship, which is seen in a lot of Disney movies like Lion King and Pocahontas, both of which I loved, but they still incorporated those things. There's another animal pose. Now we have coconut pirates. So we take things that are bad and make them good. Pirates are known to rape and pillage, kill, steal, and destroy, just like the enemy. Isaiah 5:20 says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. The word says in 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So Disney and others create movies, content, and characters that are seemingly innocuous, even with a seemingly beneficial message, but are actually deceptive with an ulterior motive that we naively accept as cute and funny. They are clever in their works. Okay, so next, Moana hears something. So Jamie tells children to rub their ears from bottom to top. This stimulates the energy meridians in the body, waking up your senses so you're less distracted and anxious and can hear and think more clearly. She does another pose and says, Moana uses yoga to escape from the cave. Does another pose. Maui now refuses to help her as he states that it will attract dark creatures. Another pose and another and another and another, which is hero pose. Now Moana and Maui have to go to the realm of monsters. Moana gets a namaste pose, lotus, and asks Maui, in namaste, teach me to be a wayfinder. He tells her she needs to see where she wants to go in her mind before she goes there. Another pose as they enter the realm of monsters. Now Maui does a special dance and says words we don't understand. He could be speaking a curse and we wouldn't think a thing of it. Another pose and another. They encounter the biggest monster, a crab with a gold-encrusted shell with lots of treasures on it. The word tells us it's better to get wisdom than gold, and you shall not make for yourselves gods of gold. Exodus 20:23 is that verse. Maui sees his magical fish hook. He does another pose and another. Now there's green glowing slime like the green heartstone. Now Maui uses his fish hook to shape shift, so he's turning himself into animals, and does another pose and more poses. Moana has now learned to read the stars in the sky. Deuteronomy 4:19, and beware lest you raise your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, you be drawn away and bow down to them and serve them, things that the Lord your God has allotted to all the people under the whole heaven. So now Jamie does the star pose and several more poses. Maui shape shifts again. The ocean takes the heartstone and the spirit of her grandmother appears and hugs Moana. Now Moana believes in herself. She brings her hands to her chest in Namaste pose and sings, "Come what may, I'll find a way." She says with real determination, "I am Moana." She's putting her strength and confidence in herself and not God. Another pose, surfer pose, which is actually warrior pose, so that's a legit pose that they're just using for another pose. Maui returns as another animal, does another pose, which is bridge pose, another shapeshift and pose. Moana holds up the heart stone in another pose, and then presses the heart stone into Tekar's heart and says, "You will know who you truly are." Jamie says, and then the magic happens. Tekar turns back into Tafiti. Tafiti returns life to the oceans and islands and gives Maui a new fishhook and Moana a new boat. Jamie tells us to cross our legs and say namaste. Moana returns home and teaches others to become voyagers again. So then she lays back in the corpse pose. Jamie says, "We learned so much from Moana, how to truly believe in ourselves. But when times get hard, we can always dig a little bit deeper, and we can always find the power and the strength that we need. That belief in ourselves is what sits at the core of it all. With determination, we can do anything." The word says, with God, all things are possible. Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" She says, even the little people can do extraordinary things. You know, they have an agenda to try to make it seem like they're lovingly being all-inclusive. All it takes is that belief, and we also learn to become wayfinders, an amazing lesson about seeing where we must want to go in our minds before we go there. That's what makes it happen, the power of our mind. We will always win if we believe in ourselves. Come what may, we'll find a way. She ends with pose bringing hands together at hearts. Now let's end with our secret yoga code word, namaste. She usually says, let's end our practice. So we see that it is a practice. So upon reading what I typed up, I could see that people might say, I don't see anything bad. Sounds like you're just trying to, put stuff on it or make it seem like it's bad. But again, the enemy is deceptive. By allowing children to get started in this, we are opening doors that they're not aware of. They don't have a conscious choice in the matter. We then put a burden on their life or punishment that makes escape impossible. Matthew 18:6 states, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." This goes for adults as well. Little ones can mean new believers as well. My point again is that these videos are for believers, that God wants to remove the scales from their eyes to see these things we do that are abominations to Him. He's called us to be holy and separate, and that means not looking just like the world. Back to the previous article from WordPress. A practitioner may protest that they don't mean these things or they don't believe in this, they just do the exercises. An example might be, suppose a practitioner doesn't speak the language of yoga. They might not understand it, but their lack of understanding doesn't negate the message. As far as the spirit world is concerned, this is better in that her ignorance prevents her from objecting and resisting. Communication with the spirit world proceeds. Say that a person mimics words in another language, not knowing what the words mean. Native speakers will know what they mean, good or bad. If you call someone's name, even though it may be foreign to you or even sound funny, that person will understand and pay attention and answer to your call and praise. So if you call their name, they're going to respond. Likewise, when you do yoga moves and say the words, spirits associated will respond to the call and praise. Just as language has invocatory power, body language does as well. It is a signal to those who are honored by poses named after them and dedicated to them and shaped after them. They love to show up to performances in which they are being honored. The article is lengthy but filled with such good information, so I highly suggest reading the entire article if this message is spoken to you at all, but I'm going to skip that just for time's sake. My point is that children might innocently get started by doing just the exercises. There were way too many videos to count, and Jamie said that they put up more videos every week. They have other videos that lead children in guided meditation or relaxation, one called Zen Den, in which she tells children to close their eyes to boost their superpower to see and hear more powerfully, that they will master this before the grown-ups and be able to do really clever things. The enemy makes a counterfeit for all that the Creator creates. His word tells us to meditate on His laws. The hostess of the video says millions of kids are already doing these videos. So what starts as fun exercises can lead to becoming fully immersed in the practice. James 1:22 says, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." So if we see His word telling us not to do these things, don't do them. If we hear His commands, we're to do them as well. So in closing, Ezekiel 33:6 tells us, "But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, and the sword comes and takes someone's life, that person's life will be taken because of their sin. But I will hold the watchman accountable for their blood. Therefore, it's my duty to speak of what Father has told me to speak of. I'm responsible if I fail to speak." Luke 14:35 says, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear. What you receive from this is on you." So if you're an adult practicing yoga, seriously pray about it. If you're a parent letting your child practice, look at the other videos, read the article, pray, and get in the Word and see what God speaks to your heart. I saw a video today of Andrew Cuomo on Facebook talking about the COVID virus. He commented that we brought the numbers down. God didn't do it, fate didn't do it, destiny didn't do it. That's not his words verbatim, but that's basically what he said. But you get the gist. He is a man, and he was taking credit for only what God can do, just like Maui and these beloved characters do. So we as believers can tear down strongholds, powers, principalities, and structures that oppose God and His ways by not participating in these strongholds, powers, and structures. So we can stand. So basically that's the message. That's what I felt like Father was saying. And so just see if any of that resonates with you, and be blessed.